Hello Trail Finders, welcome back to the next video. Today we are going to write an actual trigger on the account object, and we are going to date the description field on the account object with the timestamp as to when this particular update happened on the account object. Basically, what we are going to do is we are going to update this description field with the timestamp of last modified. We are going to put this timestamp last modified in the description field. Now, if you think of implementing this inside a trigger, then what are we doing? We are updating a field on the record which has triggered this particular operation. So what will happen is this is a before trigger. And what we need to do is we need to update the description field. So we go on to developer console. We see that we already have a trigger on the account object, which is handling before update for us. So we know that this is a before operation. And what we need to do is whenever the record is updated, then we need to put the value inside description. We have a trigger which is running on before update. We know that. Then we also see that there is an operation type and that is handling before update for us. So now what we need to do is we need to write a handler class and handle our logic. So what I have done is I've created this account trigger handler class and we'll create a method. Now what this method is trying to do, it is updating the description with the last modified. So what we'll say update. So we'll give our method a very relevant name as to what this particular method is trying to do. So update description with last modified. Now, what are we going to pass inside this particular method? We are going to pass list of account. So we'll say ACC list. Then inside this particular method, what we are going to do is you need to, whenever you're writing a trigger, you need to think from a perspective of that this trigger can run for a single record or this trigger can run for multiple records at the same time. Always need to write your code as a bulkified code. And that's a terminology very commonly used in Salesforce ecosystem. So which basically means Salesforce does is it allows you to process. So if you're, let's say, doing a bulk data load into Salesforce, or you are doing a mass transaction, then what will happen? Salesforce can run this, your code should be written in such a fashion that Salesforce is able to run this trigger for about 200 records, and it runs perfectly fine as it would run for a single record. So that is what is called a bulkified code. In a single transaction, you can have up to 200 records coming into your account list here. You always need to handle, whenever you write your trigger, it should be, it should be written in a fashion that it handles 200 records. Across the videos through the series, whenever there's some important topic will come up, I'll keep sharing those important best practices with you. Then we write a for statement because we don't know how many records are coming. It can be a single record, it can be multiple records. So we'll always think from the point of view when we are writing inside a trigger that there would be multiple records coming inside this trigger. So now that we have got this particular value, what we'll do is we will update the account object. Now this particular object has the description field. Now what we need to find out is the API value of the description field. So we'll go to the object manager, go to the account object and fields and find for the description field. And we'll copy the API name from here and we are going to paste it here. Now what we need to do is we need to put the last modified value inside the description field, but description field can have something else already. We don't want to delete that. So how do we do that? We copy this and we put a new line. So whenever you need to put line use in a code, you always use backslash and an N, and that would put, it's like an enter and it will come in the next line. In order to get your last modified, what you will do last modified date. And this is going to put the date and time inside your account description already. Now, if I save this, important point that is that this is a before operation. Since this is a before operation, we don't need to do any DML. We are updating the same record, which is triggering this particular trigger. We don't do any DMLs in this particular method. We just make the changes on the field using our logic, whatever we want to do. And that's all that is required. What we need to do is we'll call this trigger handler from our trigger. And now we are going to pass the triggered values. So how do we pass the triggered values? So we use keyword trigger, and then we are going to pass new here. Why? Because update or insert would have new record values inside it. and we're going to pass the new values inside it. I'm going to explain what trigger.new and what trigger.old in the next video, and we're going to do a deep dive inside trigger.new and trigger.old in the next video. But for the time being, just understand that whenever you are doing an update or insert, you pass trigger.new inside it. We'll run it now and see what action it changes on the account record. So let's go to our account, we'll edit it, and we'll click save. So that would run the update transaction. Let's try and do that and see what happens. So if you see here, it has got null. Why? Because the first time the description value was null, and then it has got null. And then we have got the timestamp of right now. And similarly, if you update it again, you get the next timestamp value as well, but it also keeps the previous value as well. So in order to make your logic more user-friendly, what you can do is you can put a null check here in your trigger handler and say if description is not null, then add the previous description. If description is not equal to null, then you add the description to previous description to the last modified. You can do it that way. But for this video, I'll just leave it as is. So this is a way of running before triggers. We are also going to talk about an after trigger in the next video. And then we are going to talk about trigger.old and trigger.new in the video after that. Until then, have a good day. Wishing you all the best in your Salesforce journey. Good luck.